Yeah, damn, he did it again. 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 I just did that shit one time, but then I just did it again. Damn, he did it again. Damn, he did it again. Damn, they hating on him, yeah. Damn, they sleeping on him, yeah. Damn, they hurt my heart, yeah. But fuck it, I did it again, yeah. So you can keep sending them shots, yeah. But you better bring the best, yeah. Send them cardiac arrest, yeah. Send them cardiac. You're bitching on my leather, yeah. Running through the winter, yeah. Keeping oven vendetta, yeah. Spend it on a letter, yeah. Fuck it, he did it, yeah. He did it all but better, yeah. And I'ma pass it in a minute, yeah. But give me one more level, yeah. Damn, he did it again. Damn, he did it again. Damn, he did it again.
Hey, yo! What up? Ordinary Life, Captain Turtle Ward in here. Devious Date. Hello. Good to see you. Damn, he did it again. Damn, he did it again. 2 days in a row? What is this guy, a streamer? Hey, Budget Bunt Cakes. That's a cool name. Thank you for the 34 months. Appreciate it. Olias, thank you for the 40. First stream, Atrioc. Thank you for making me smarter. No problem, bro. No problem. I have such incredible material to work with. You know what I'm saying? Hey. Fuck it, I'm not home yet. Give me a few minutes. All right, you got it. Just for you. Yar! Thank you for the 7 months. All right, this song's over. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Uh-oh. That's not good. That's not good. Wait, why is a fucking... What the fucking hell? Don't worry about it. Bam! Bam! Like Emerald Agassi right there. Bam! And one more time. Guys, say it with me. Say it with me. If you guys don't say bam, it won't work. I did on 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. Bam! Hey. Thank you. Wow, you guys did your part. It's interactive theater here. Thank you so much. Hello and welcome. To the H-Rock broadcast here on June. I want to say June. Feels like August, but it's June 17th. Where the hell did that come from? Where doesn't feel right. Doesn't feel like the right time of year. Bro needs to shave those pits. Yeesh. Nah. No, I don't need to shave those pits. Yeesh. Hey, Rock. I taught my mom how to pirate TV shows and movies this week. Is that a recession indicator? No, that's thrift, baby. That's not a recession indicator. No, I guess unless no. Here's it. It's being a good son if you did it voluntarily. It's a recession indicator if she asked. When your mom starts asking how to pirate, recession indicator. If you did it of your own free will, we're fine. So really, you have to know. You have to. That's the fucking. Bro was telling me earlier he's going to get jury duty to dodge the draft. There's no way that works. Can you? It wouldn't last long enough. Can you get jury duty to dodge the draft? Did anyone ever do this? No, I don't see anything about that. I don't see anything about that. If anything, they'll get you out of jury duty to get drafted. But you can't do the opposite. You can't get out of the draft because you're like, I have to serve on a jury. But you can get out of the jury by saying I have to go fight in a war. So, theoretically, could you go to jail to get out of the draft? Yes, you could probably do that. If you robbed a bank, they would put you in jail and you wouldn't be required to go to the draft. If that's your goal, then you'd be set. I'll just get diagnosed with autism because I probably have it. They don't have people with autism in the military. That's a lie. I lived on military bases all my childhood. If you think autism is not prevalent on the military base, there's plenty of it, bro. There's plenty of it, dude. You're not getting out. It's all inclusive. I'm blind as shit, so I'm safe. You can't get drafted if you're blind. That's got to be true. You can't get drafted if you're blind. Partial blindness does not meet the standards, though. So you're saying you're blind as shit? That wouldn't work. But being legally blind, you can't do it. Even from one eye. Hey, thanks for the 2 years. RX Scopes! Thank you. Do you need both eyes? Looking for an easy out? No, if you lose one eye, you are out of the draft. At least as far as the last draft rules that were implemented in America. Mr. Go Live does it again. I'm weak as shit. Does that help? As far as I know, they don't care about that anymore because they're so desperate to get more. Well, they were so desperate to get Gen Z recruits. You could be out of shape and everything, and they would just fucking, they would take you. Hey, Big A. Sorry, what? I thought being a Deadeye meant you were a good shot. Where does that come from? Because, yeah, you'd assume a Deadeye is like someone with one dead eye, and they wouldn't be... I guess with a sniper, maybe the second eye holds you back. Is that true? Where does Deadeye... It doesn't come from COD kill streaks. Dude, that's like when someone hears a classic rock song and they go, oh, the song from Guitar Hero. It's like, it's not a guitar... That's not where it is originated from. Do you know what I'm saying? That song was hugely popular prior to Guitar Hero. Okay, Deadeye, but why? Origin of the term. Apparently, dude, I don't know. I guess it comes from dead on. Like you hit someone dead on. And then some idiot just said Deadeye one day and then it stuck. Like most human slang. Some dude just fucking says something weird or funny and it sticks. It sounds cool. It does sound cool. Imagine getting drafted during drone meta. We're all cooked. No. Because the drones need Xbox controller pilots. You gamers are the most... you're the most incredible draft targets. All right? They can sit you down with an Xbox controller and tell you to fly drones into combat. Who gets first pick in the draft? Is it a lottery or do they go by last season's standings? It would be, I mean, they do a draft lottery, actually. I was going to say it'd be fun if it was a lottery like Hunger Games, but it literally is. It literally is a draft lottery. Yeah, it was like birthdays. It was like random draft of days of birth, and you'd be drafted. You know what you should do is try to have the same birthday as a really rich kid. So his parents rig the lottery so he doesn't get drafted, and then you're safe. That's the trick. That's the trick. Check right now if a senator has a son with the same birthday as you, and you're probably safe. Can I? Yeah, get the same birthday as Barron Trump. When's his birthday? Barron Trump birthday. March 20th. Bro, he was born in 2006. That's crazy. He was born in 06. Bro is in college. 6'7". Born in 2006. That's crazy. They can't draft me. I have anxiety. Yeah, I'm so, sir. I can't join the military. I have anxiety. Well, then we're so sorry. We apologize for inconvenience. We would hate to have someone with anxiety in the military. I'm Canadian, so I'm okay. Cosmically, I guess. They can't draft me. I'm heavily medicated. You mean you're high? You mean you're smoking that that Chief Keef, honestly, got that epilepsy. You guys are all saying like things that would not get you out of the draft. Every one of you is confidently saying something that's like, don't worry, I could never get drafted. And it's all something that you would definitely still get drafted. I just hope you're not holding on to this like a fucking anchor of there's no way. I can't possibly get drafted. I have a dust allergy. I'm saying I'm a woman. 20% of the military is women. Isn't it 80-20 now? 1 in 5. Huge nuts. They give it the 48 months. Little runky. They give it the 6 months. Apparently, if you're a millennial, get sorted into one of 4 houses: running, baking, books, or plants. I was going to say it doesn't apply to me, but then I read books. Yeah, you got me. Yeah, I'm in the books. I've been sorted into the books house. That's fucked. No, what am I seeing from my millennial vantage point on other millennials? Millennials are obviously stressed, as everyone is, but what are they specifically? I guess, no, they're not cringe. No, they're not cringe. They're not old. That's not what I was going for. Definitely not cringe or old. No, you guys keep saying cringe and old. They're not depressed. They're not on death's door. They're not woke. No, they're not. They're croaking and creaking. They're definitely not. They're not old enough to be doing that. They are saying doggo. Many millennials I know are getting ever more into their pets. Some of them are even starting pet Instagrams. That's cringe. I guess that is cringe. What else? Floofs. Yep. Keeping Disney alive. I don't know what millennials are really. What is our vibe lately? I feel like millennials are, I guess, getting ready for the boomers to die soon. But actually, I would say they're not getting ready. I feel like millennials are about to be handed the reins of the world, and they're not getting ready. That's sort of my read of the situation, is that they're like, finding the quickest way to cash in before it all goes to shit. Crypto, I guess. Gen Z is going to be president for millennials. That's absolutely not true. I would take that bet 600 times out of 600. I would make that bet easily. It's absolutely not going to happen, bro. More likely is another boomer. Just to be clear, more likely is another boomer rather than Gen Z. Technically, actually, there's no Gen Z old enough to run for president right now. And I think we're going to have a millennial before that even happens. Did you see Matt Pat's working with the government? I saw that he started a creator caucus or something, but I don't know what they were doing or what the goal was. I just know that he had some sort of theories about how the government should get involved. And I don't know if they were just theories or if they were more. Zoomers literally spamming cock ass when I said caucus, and they're thinking they're going to be president. You think you're going to fucking lock in the presidency with instant going to cock ass? No, dude, you're fucking not. It's cold in here. It's fucking chillers. Here, 1 second. Let me put on a fucking non-tank top. Just because it's fucking chilly. he did it again. Damn, he did it again. Damn, he did it again. He done that shit one time. Now he did it again. Let's fucking go. Oven shirt, oven shirt, oven shirt. You guys think I went to the fucking oven in my kitchen, pulled out a toasty oven shirt and popped it on because I was cold? How do you have me so soul red? How do you have me so soul red? That's crazy. Yes, I did do that. This shirt is toasty as hell, straight out of the fucking oven. H-Rock Fantano. Anthony motherfucking Fantano doesn't have a monopoly on fucking flannels. I'll tell you that right fucking now. I have been wearing flannels, okay? Anthony Fantano can get a light too and suck my dick if he thinks he can take control. It's not even yellow, dude. If he wears this, he's doing the Atrioc. Okay? I'm sorry, but that's not... Yes, there's drama. By the way, we're in a recession and everyone's wearing flannels. H-Rock is still clearly mad about the Drake rating. Sorry. My boy Drizzy is who I'm backing up. Who just did that? Wait, it was so sad. Who just did this? Jagmeet Singh in Canada. Dude, it was so embarrassing. He's like the head of the NDP, I guess like the left-wing party or the left-wing party in Canada. He went to a Kendrick concert, then like got a tiny bit of flack for it. He's not former head. Yeah, former head. And so he posted like a public apology on Instagram saying how Drizzy's his guy and he'll always root for Toronto and he loves Drake and like... That's like, what? First of all, read the room. Second of all, it doesn't have to be a fucking big deal like that. Like, you just went to a Kendrick concert. It's fine. That shit is so embarrassing. Why? I can't imagine. Bro, you gotta try Fent sometimes? Oh, you think so? What do you guys, how many of you think I should try fentanyl? Because I heard it was probably really bad for you and like a blight on America. But if a chatter says I should try it, I'm easily influenced, you know? I hate to seem uncool. It's just like, I know you guys all think of me as like one of the coolest, chillest dudes. All right? So I wouldn't do anything to break that. Unc won't even try Fent. Hey, I work for JC Penney. Think I'll lose my job anytime soon? First time chatter. Listen, man, or woman, or NB, I got something to tell you. If there's one industry that's recession proof, it's malls. If there's one industry that'll never, ever, ever fucking crack, it's JC Penney in malls. I would not be worried. I would take out big loans because you know your income is rock solid. There's just nothing can crack the JC Penney Titan. So you're good. You are fucking good. Isn't the gaming industry kind of recession proof? As long as you don't talk to any of the tens of thousands of laid off people in the gaming industry, yes. The industry does tend to do well in recessions. You're correct. It's probably not as impacted. I think the more problem is that the gaming industry dramatically overhired in COVID and is now reaping when they really preferred sowing. But yeah, gaming has done well in the prior recession. Yeah, AAA studios are what's really getting hit. Listen, they're just being rocked by indies. They're being rocked by indies and by... Okay, here's the thing. Let me explain it. Let me show it like this. It's two sides. It's a pincer movement. Normally, there is this thing called AAA, you know, for the longest time in gaming. And that was the idea is you could throw a bunch of money at a game and it would, and buy like a big IP or throw just sheer size at it. The game was big enough and had enough crap in it that it would do well. Marketing budget, okay? And you'd get a certain amount of money, you get $3 back, you know, you put enough money in. But in recent years, there's been an attack on two sides. One is from what I'll call, I wouldn't call it quadruple A. I'll call it, I don't know, infinity games. Okay? Infinity games are like Fortnite, Roblox, what else? Yeah, it's games as a service. Genshin Impact, even League of Legends. League of Legends has been running for, these are like live service games. And there's not many of them that actually do well. Some of these AAA games try to be like that, but there's like only a few huge hitters. These have infinite budgets, and games like this, they can steal your game and recreate it in Roblox. At least like the core gameplay. So these games have been attacking the dollar here. Because a lot of people are spending a lot more time just playing the same game over and over and over with different things in it. They're playing Fortnite or Minecraft or Roblox or League of Legends, and they play that forever in all different modes. And then on the other side, you have indies. Oh, I can't spell indie. Indies have been attacking from this side by being way cheaper and focused on one simple good thing. So instead of being bloated and expensive, they're cheap and focused and cool. And so, and it's become easier and easier to make these. And so they are getting to the heart of what gamers actually want quicker. They're turning around quicker. They can make the game in less time. They have their ear to the ground, so they know what people want. They can patch faster. This is, so between indies and the Infinity games, this like Ubisoft tier, the AAA, you know, maybe EA, Ubisoft, big game release has been getting fucked over. It's been getting completely squeezed. And so this is where all the big studios had people hired, and that's where all the layoffs is coming from. It's not a bad thing, obviously. For like, I don't care about those companies, especially Ubisoft. I don't give a shit. You know, there is some, it's sad for employees, always. Layoffs are always sad for employees, and it's a sign of mismanagement at the company who didn't predict the future well. But, you know, overall, it is, I think, a cool restructuring of the industry, except I am fearful of games like these particular because they have the in-game editors. Oh, why am I getting called? 1 second. It's Tim Sweeney. He's telling me to kill myself. That's my mom. It was Fantano. So anyway, that's what's happening, you know, and it's interesting, good or bad. It's interesting, but yeah, I don't like, it just bothers me, the idea of like everyone else's IP and game getting ripped off in Roblox and Fortnite. And it's like really hard to fucking take down. But it is cool to see these kind of games die because they were fucking bloated and shitty and they sucked. This is also kind of happening. Well, it doesn't really have this top end part, but like a similar thing is happening in Hollywood where, except, you know, like in Hollywood, there's like not really this, and this isn't doing nearly as well. So it's really just overall declining. That's like, that is really just the overall decline. Yeah. I guess, yeah, you know what? You actually said, you put it perfectly. Well said. Good point, chatter. You actually put it perfectly. This is not really A24. This is YouTube, dude. This is content creation. People are just going to YouTube for what Hollywood used to make in a lot of ways. And that's putting pressure on the industry from this side. And then gaming as a whole is putting pressure on Hollywood from this side because people are spending more and more of their time on gaming and social media. So theaters are getting squeezed. I mean, I just saw that Marvel Thunderbolts, despite having really good reviews and a strong opening, is a flop. It flopped. It's not going to make its money back. If that movie can't make it, they got it. I mean, that's the end of the strategy, dude. They did like a relaunch. They had good reviews. They had actors people liked. They had a good out of the gate, and it didn't work. It didn't sustain itself. The hype faded. So, you know, that was the big plan to like bring Marvel back. It didn't work. It just didn't work. So they're actually in like a real like, oh fuck, got to figure this out. And I'm seeing it too in LA specifically because LA is dealing with an absolute hollowing out of the city as a place to make film and TV. Everyone is moving to Atlanta or Canada or New Zealand, or that is where all the filming is being done because of tax breaks. It's like, it really is crazy. I mean, it's existential here. People are really upset about it and sad. I hope the state and national government can fucking figure out how to... my understanding is that they have been... listen, it's unfortunate when companies play different areas of the world against each other to get lowest taxes. However, in LA's particular case, they have been like upping the regulation and taxes and squeezing anyone making movies or TV because they know no one will ever leave, but they're actually leaving. They're just leaving. The incentives are terrible. Like, it's not like they're like normal and people are going else. People are like it was hard to get people out of LA because there's so much, what do you call it? Like institutional memory. It has like talent and staff and time doing it, but it's a cultural, but it's getting squeezed out. So there are some bad policies that are like literally causing LA to be unviable economically as a place to make film and TV. I work in VFX. The industry is dying except for Australia and Canada because of the tax breaks. Yuck, dude. They goosed the golden goose. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Minecraft movie made in New Zealand for no reason. It's not no reason. That's the thing. If you're ever wondering why, here's what I found out. We watched Smallville yesterday. Smallville is a show about small town Americana, Kansas. Local football team, corn, cheering us on, Superman. It's made in Canada. It's filmed in fucking Canada. You know why? Tax breaks. They filmed fucking Smallville in Canada. And they film everything. I mean, it's been for a while, but it's only accelerating. Canada, Australia, New Zealand, Atlanta. Atlanta is sort of like the spot in America. And that's where shit's getting filmed because it's cheaper. Psych was filmed in Vancouver. Dude, if you actually knew the amount of American TV series filmed in Vancouver, you'd realize that America has a picture of our own country that is actually Canada. Like the average American, when they think about different towns and cities, they do it through the lens of TV they've watched. And the TV they've watched is filmed in Canada. It's actually crazy. There's a great vid on why Vancouver is every American city. Vancouver is every American city. If it's not 3 hours long, I'll watch it. But if it's a YouTube video essay that's fucking 2 hours long and starts out with the history of Vancouver. In the 1900s, Vancouver was a small... If it starts with that, then I'm not gonna fucking... Oh, this looks good. It's 9 minutes. Fuck it, that sounds awesome.
Hi, my name is Tony, and this is Every Frame a Painting. The first time I ever felt like a movie lied to me, I was 8 years old, and it was Homeward Bound 2, Lost in San Francisco.
I love that movie!
Because this isn't San Francisco.
Oh, that's fucked.
What's this? I thought we were going someplace cool.
This is my favorite place in the entire city.
This is Vancouver, where I grew up. If you watch enough TV shows or blockbusters, then chances are you've seen my city, disguised as Santa Barbara,
Hey,
or
it's
as
Psych.
Seattle, and even one time as the Bronx.
Something's always happening here. That's New York for you. You'll get used to it.
But no matter how many movies or TV shows are filmed here, there's always been one nagging problem. We never actually see the city. It's always pretending to be somewhere else.
Yeah, I mean, nobody wants to actually watch a movie in the coop.
Robson Square, and on location on set of The Interview. This is where Seth Rogen and
They made Vancouver into Pyongyang. Didn't take much. Didn't take much, okay? They changed very little to make Vancouver into...
James Franco. They're supposed to be in North Korea.
They had to, yeah, they actually had to, they had to upgrade it. They had to upgrade it. They had to make they had to clean up Vancouver.
Let's check it out.
We're so hidden, we even have movies about how we're not featured in the movies.
My specialty is disguising Vancouver so it looks like an American city.
But how do you fake one city as another without the audience noticing?
I don't know.
Well, first you need to know the city, and Vancouver is kind of a chameleon. In Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol, it plays Seattle, and Eastern Europe, and even India, all within a 15-minute.
That actually is going to ruin my enjoyment of the film. You're telling me when I'm watching that movie, it jumps all over the world and it's all filmed like 4 blocks apart in Vancouver? That's actually so... I thought Tom Cruise would fucking... would splurge for the expense to film on location. I thought at the very least... You telling me the Burj Khalifa is Northern Lions' house with a green screen? When he climbs the wall, it's just some fucking... Oh, Christ.
Minute drive of each other. Once you know the city, it's actually pretty simple to trick the audience. Most people don't question the establishing shot, so you can just find the right building and put a title card on screen. The other option is to shoot second unit footage of another city, and then cut to somewhere in Vancouver.
That makes sense.
This is especially common with Seattle, since a lot of the architecture there looks pretty similar to here.
Yeah.
But to really convince the
sense.
audience, you're going to need a lot of help. Which brings us to the art department, who control all the little details.
Okay.
Like decals on the sides of cars,
Yeah.
American
that'll
flags in the
convince me.
background, new signs in front of buildings, and this one's my personal favorite,
I'm not gonna kiss them, but let's just say I might give them some.
USA Today vending machines. Because nothing says America like USA Today.
That's so true.
I read it every day.
That's so
News
true.
around the USA.
They just wouldn't have them in a different country. That's how I know. That's how my brain knows.
The next step in faking a city is deciding how you're going to light and shoot it.
Okay. See, this has distracting background music. It's good,
One of the
but
best
it's,
ways to disguise Vancouver is to film at night in shallow focus.
like, this is the first YouTuber I've seen use lots of lyrical music in their background. I keep thinking I have Spotify open. Just put a fucking Zelda soundtrack like every other video essay, dude.
This is to avoid pulling a rumble in the Bronx, when they pointed the camera north and you could clearly see the mountains.
Yikes.
It's kind of remarkable what you can get from a location by changing the angle and the lighting. This is the Orpheum Theater on a tripod from a high angle.
Yeah, I mean,
and here's the...
for example, my stream. It looks like I'm in Los Angeles. I have this book background, but actually I am in Beijing, China as an agent of the CCP. And I've been working for Xi Jinping this entire time. Like, it's like it's a little lighting and a little angle, and all of a sudden, you can like change your whole...
Exact same entryway from a low angle, handheld. Last but not least, there's the VFX team, who composite specific elements into the shot. Sometimes it's a landmark, like Alcatraz, the Transamerica Pyramid, or the Space Needle. But other times, they'll change almost the entire frame. This is Front Street,
I'm going to start seeing
Japan.
It everywhere.
And here it is again, playing future Chicago.
Uh-huh. It's iRobot?
And it's all these little details that help us believe the illusion, so that a character can jump out of a window in Vancouver and in the space of one cut, end up in San Francisco.
Wow, incredible. X-Men? X3?
But what does it mean for a city if it's always playing somewhere else? Well, for Vancouver, it means that our on-screen image is kind of generic. What you've seen in the movies is mostly downtown, like the glass buildings along Burrard Street.
Okay.
And the area around Gastown, like this alley off Canby.
What do these words mean?
The city is kind of like one giant backlot, a bunch of anonymous buildings that can stand in for anywhere else. Even when the movies do go somewhere unique, they have a way of typecasting it. For instance, BCIT's aerospace campus actually looks pretty cool.
Yeah, it looks all right. Oh my God, it's a CIA
it's
field
always
office.
Turned into some vaguely dystopian government facility.
Dude. That's crazy. Crazy to imagine the CIA, like the idea of having these big fucking monitors is such a Hollywood thing. These big fucking monitors with the names of the villains and the targets and the... and this is just in a lobby. Anyone can be walking through. It's not even a fucking...
in government facility. Everybody walks around waving a special
X-Files
badge, and they try to maintain order, but of course they can't.
That's crazy.
Vancouver's locations are like weirdly familiar character actors. For instance, the city's two biggest universities play opposite roles on screen.
Okay.
SFU, with its concrete staircases, never plays a university. It's either a military base or some evil corporation.
Okay, badass.
Meanwhile, UBC always plays a university. That's located everywhere else but Canada.
I see.
This year, it even played Washington State U, which means that Vancouver, British Columbia finally got to play...
I'm deeply moved.
Vancouver, Washington. For me, this is the single worst moment in local film history. I will never forget this.
Oh, get over it. All the jobs are in Vancouver. All the movies are shot in Vancouver. And you don't get to be... You don't want every fucking... Nobody wants to watch a movie where Tom Cruise flies to Vancouver to fight the villain. Okay? I'm sorry. I'm sorry, but that's just not... It's not a globe-trotting spy movie where James Bond is fucking driving across Vancouver. It doesn't... It's not gonna be... It doesn't have that cultural cachet. Unless Northern Lion's the villain. Home Alone 4, Lost in Vancouver. It probably, everyone's polite there. You get found in a second. Lost in New York makes sense. Donald Trump will send you the wrong directions. Lost in Vancouver, everyone's just going to be like, oh, it's right this way, eh? And you're fucking fine. Enno would be a great villain? I don't think so.
But if filmmaking today is global, why do so many of our stories take place in the same four cities? Is it just so we can destroy the same landmark over?
Probably.
And over?
Probably, yeah.
And over?
Yeah, I mean, it's an iconic landmark, and it looks cool to
By
destroy.
the way, take a guess where all 4 of these films were shot.
Who wants to go to Vancouver?
Exactly. Average American response to hearing you have to go to Vancouver, dude. It's sad. It's sad. It's a sad face. I have to go to fucking Calgary soon for Isto's wedding. Can I give you his address? Can you guys show up and meet me there so we have more people? I gotta go to fucking Calgary. And you guys all better be there so we can have a fun time. Calgary is top rated. Is it free, though? I heard from a reliable source that no other country other than America is free. So I feel like the repression I'm going to feel in Calgary is going to be a problem.
Sometimes I wonder if local film crews try to sneak the city into the shot as a form of protest.
The next station is Metrotown.
To Hollywood, Vancouver is a location, but not a setting. It's a place with talent and scenery and tax incentives, but almost no film identity of its own.
I see.
Just other identities it can borrow.
So you guys, this is one thing I think Hollywood's missing. And tell me if I'm crazy, but I think I'm really onto something. If you guys know, Hollywood has applied a sepia-toned yellowish filter to any footage shot south of the border. If you're in Mexico or South America, you have a sepia tone, okay? What we need is a Canada filter. Maybe like a fuchsia or something, you know, some kind of, and so there's a filter over anything north of the border, some kind of saturated, so that everyone knows that it's not in America. Because when I'm watching a show, I need to know immediately if I'm watching something that's not in America, so that I can either disengage or pull out my phone, or be prepared for, like, if there's violence, I don't feel bad about it because it's a different country. Ice Blue, yeah. Yeah, that's good. I think this is good. I think this is a good show. I think this is what Hollywood's missing.
You say you heard this song before. Tell me the morning sun will rise too.
That's funny.
But maybe there's some
Happy Gilmore was shot in Canada? Is there nothing sacred?
hope. For 50 years, there's been a local movement of films and TV shows where Vancouver does play itself.
We had no idea how to make a film. We had no idea. We just went ahead and made the film.
Based?
A lot of these films aren't widely distributed, but they offer a completely different perspective. For me, they're often a lot closer to my own experiences.
Ready?
As a child of immigrants who mostly explored the city on foot.
Come on, Dad. Come on.
These movies treat Vancouver not as a location, but as a setting. And they capture the things that are unique to us. So we need these images more than ever.
Okay.
Because films can preserve a particular time and place.
Sure.
Not as a documentary, but as a fictional story about the real world.
Sure.
And the city deserves better than the occasional joke about its weather.
Is it
Pack your
bad?
winter coat. We're going to Canada's warmest city.
So this is
That's
Vancouver,
good.
the third
That's
biggest
good.
filmmaking town in North America. On screen, it is ubiquitous, and it is invisible.
Wow.
But off screen, there are
Everyday
other
life
angles
in the
just
coop.
waiting to be filmed. And I think it's time we made a real push to create new images of ourselves.
Well, given that this video is 9 years old and I still haven't recognized Vancouver in a film, it hasn't happened yet. Yikes. 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 But, I mean, if anything, the amount of films being shot there has only increased, so it's only gone up. I can't believe Happy Gilmore shot. Can I confirm on that? Just one quick check. Happy Gilmore shot in Vancouver. Wow, it really was. That's shocking. That's the film I grew up, me and my little brother would laugh at with my dad. That's like our bonding Americana film. We would watch it in Germany as like a memory of America. That shit was Canadian. That's crazy. I think we need a GTA set in Vancouver. Do you guys... Is your experience of Los Angeles primarily understood through Grand Theft Auto? Do you picture GTA as a true-to-life interpretation of Los Angeles? Interesting. I did carjack a guy today, actually, but that's a weird coincidence. It's not... It undermines my point currently, but I did... It's not normal. I don't normally do that. It's not daily. There's less crime in GTA. Okay. All right, Fox News. Let's fucking relax. Okay? Fucking relax. Fucking chill. I know more about Los Santos than Los Angeles. Okay, I get it, by the way. Now you're bragging. Now it's something that's cool. Now your ignorance is cool. You're like trying to like, I get it. You don't have to, you're not impressing me. Actually, is that true? Is it true that in the game Grand Theft Auto, if you don't do anything, there's no crime? So technically it's a crime rate of one person. Like if you just drive normally, will there ever be any crime? I'm trying to think of, there's random events, right? What up, H-Rock? YouTube Frog here. You're a funny dude. Chesto, welcome to the stream. Your first time chat message. You can pick any topic you want for us to discuss. Any topic at all. That is the privilege of a brand new first time chatter. Chesto, anything you want to talk about in the world, I'm going to fucking jump into it. That's the power of live. I want to show you. I want to basically sell this to you. That watching on YouTube is one thing, but live, there's this crackling back and forth energy. But every time I do it, I just kind of scare them away. Every time I do it, I just kind of scare away any new viewers, and then I end up with the same fucking chatters who spam Glizzy all the time. You were nice. All you said was you're a funny dude. And now you're gone. I'm good. Do your thing. Ah, too much pressure, huh? Here's the thing, Chesto. It's not a question. It's not a request. Okay? I hate to be a stickler for the rules, but you really need to give me a topic. Okay, Chesto, I'm not trying to amp up the energy here. I'm not trying to put you on the spot, and I'm not trying to be angry. I just want you to understand that it's really a sacred code around here for you to pick it could be any topic. It could be any topic. I really need you to pick something. He's gone. He's fucking gone. Oh, Brandon, you did it again. Fuck, you did it again. Fucking hell, god damn it. Why do you do this? Why do you do this? You're never, ever gonna get any new fucking viewers. You scare them off with your fucking... You played it way too aggressive. Way too fucking aggressive. Can we talk... Wait, you have a topic? Can we talk about the implications of the church dichotomy? What does that mean? The implications of the church dichotomy. Church dichotomy. What? Are you just throwing words at me? What? Do you mean like the separation of church and state dichotomy, or what do you mean by that question? My God. You're just throwing words out. Oh, fuck, dude. I can't talk about the implications of the church dichotomy. I assume maybe you mean church and state. Maybe and you separate it or. All right, I'll talk about that. It's good to keep church and state separate. Well, I guess if I were to riff on this for a bit, it feels. Correct me if I'm wrong, but in America in current year, like when I was growing up, it felt some type of way to be atheist or to be like, I don't believe in that God stuff, and I think we should. But nowadays, it doesn't feel like anything at all. Maybe in certain parts of the country, I fully admit that. But like, it doesn't feel anything. It doesn't feel like it doesn't feel rebellious in any way. It doesn't feel, I don't know. It feels like even religious people are more low key. I don't know. In America. But obviously, this is vastly dependent on circles, 100%. But like, here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking of like people in my extended family who are religious. Like I have uncles and aunts who are Republican or religious, but they're like, they just don't care. Like all the hard lines they cared about when I was young. Like here's the thing I remember. When I was a kid, the church had so much influence over like culture that Pokemon was getting banned in schools. I can't imagine. There could be a show that comes out about like fucking kids shooting each other in the head. And I feel like the church would be like, whatever. Like, I just don't think they have that level of, like we have to go through them anymore. Do you know what I'm saying? When I was a kid, it was like, Harry Potter's kind of rebellious because the church doesn't allow it. Or some kids couldn't read Harry Potter because of the church. Some kids, but like, do you have any kids at school that can't like watch whatever the latest show is because of the church? It just doesn't feel like it has the sauce. It doesn't feel like it has the sauce that it used to have. Yeah, it just feels like even the right or like the Fox News crowd or have just abandoned that part of the issue, that like fighting over card games and cartoons and they're powerless against endless swarms of TikTok clips. That's kind of exactly my point, though. I feel like the war got so lost that it's just completely given up on. I guess that's what I'm saying. I feel like the war got so lost that they still ban books. Bro, nobody needs to ban a book in 2025. Kids don't fucking read. Yeah, you can ban this fucking magazine. They look at it, it's gibberish to them. They fucking pull it out and they can't even see what the words mean. When are you going to ban it? You can hand it to them. Dude, give them all the books. Open the libraries. They can't read. It's changing under Trump with putting Bible in schools. A kid's not reading the Bible either. Well, that's sort of my point is that like, it doesn't matter if it's like a right-wing family kid or a left-wing family kid. The kid is not, the kid is lost to TikTok. You know, the neither of the parents can win. they can't make him read the Bible. They can't make him read, I don't know, the Giving Tree or whatever. They can't make him read either one, dude. So, they're watching the 42-part Bible movie on TikTok. I'd watch that. Shit, bro. You can make the Bible a series of different TikTok lessons that I can learn about the world. That sounds incredible. That sounds incredible. They should make the Bible an anime. It would go hard. I can't name one off the top of my head, but I'm sure like a Christ-like story is in like 400 animes. I'm sure like I'm not a weeb enough to do this, but like it's like in every fucking, you know what I'm saying? Like you could say the Matrix is in a way some kind of like Christ story. Oh, dude, that reminds me. Wait, I'm on a tangent. Can I send this video to myself so y'all can see it? I'm saying y'all now because I watched Smallville, so I know about small town America. Reminds me of my roots in Kansas. Can I send this to myself so you can see it? It's fucking crazy. Wait, you guys are gonna pog. I promise you. You're gonna pog and afterwards you might even champ. I won't rule it out. I know you'll pog. I don't know if you'll champ, but you could do both. All right, it's sending. So remind me in like 5 minutes when this finishes sending. I'll open that up. Hey, Truck, I messaged your pops at work. He was really nice. You're lucky to have a dad like that. Yeah, don't do that anymore. Don't do that. If you are the person I'm thinking of, no disrespect. I'm sure you were nice, but he messaged me that I had to stop talking about him on stream because he's worried because people are messaging him at work. So please don't do that because my dad is now worried. I've been talking openly about his job and what he thinks and all that, and now he's worried about it getting back to his. And he is a fucking old man who's trying to do his job and make money so that he can support my mom. Okay, so let's all keep it chill. I wouldn't do that because you and me are actually friends, right, A-Truck? I see a sub badge next to your name, Kino. Hell yeah, brother. God, I just love chopping it up with my good friend Kino. Just fucking chopping it up. Just two pals. Thinking back on all our times together. Fuck, dude. I remember one time when you were chatting and I was laughing about your chat message, and it's like, that's our fucking thing, dude. That's our fucking jam. Oh my God, I remember that. Do you do? Holy fuck. No way. No, true. Tony Lamboni, what about me? I don't see a sub badge next to your name, you fucking parasocial freak. I felt bad to say. I wanted to commit for the bit, but I felt actually bad saying it. I was like, in my head, I was like, you got to commit for the bit, but it felt bad. I'm sorry. I apologize. What is your take on stablecoins? Dude, it's interesting. I was reading a paper. Don't put this in a clip, Adish, because I got to read more. But, you know, I'm seeing strong evidence. Here, let me see if I can explain this as simply as possible. Because if I can't, I need to understand it more. This is not going to be a pro-crypto thing, by the way. Don't worry. I know some of you are already stressed. I'm still the most anti-crypto man on the internet. How do I put this? I've talked about this a lot, right? The U.S. has massive debt, right? Okay, so we have this huge pile of government debt. IOU. And we're constantly issuing more debt. And we go out to the market and we go, hey, we need to borrow $100 billion. We'll give you 5% interest. We'll give you 5% interest, okay? That's kind of what we do. And if nobody takes that deal, then we have to go, okay, we'll give you 6%. Oh, we'll give you 6.5. Oh, we'll give you 7. Whatever. The interest costs go up if nobody takes the deal. So if the U.S. is seen as a risky place, and as it is right fucking now, then our borrowing costs go up, which is a problem because then our interest expense gets higher and our huge debt has to roll over with bigger interest expense, and it becomes a real fucking problem. We really want low rates. We want like 2%, but we don't control this. We control it on the short term, but not on the long term. So it depends on people willing to loan to us. Okay, that's the setup. I've seen credible evidence from smart financial thinkers that are saying that all this talk about stable coins from the crypto side, stable coins, from the crypto side of the administration is a roundabout way of getting money into U.S. debt in America. The idea is that stable coins are going to be a way of, quote, holding value. But what they're going to do is you put your money in stable coins endorsed by the U.S. government, and these coins put their money in U.S. treasuries to drive the borrowing cost down. Which is like, it's just a way of turning American savings into free or cheap loans to the government. Which is really interesting, especially because if this doesn't happen, here's what will actually happen in the real world. Realistically, if you look at other countries that have gone through debt crises and debt cycles, is that as these borrowing costs get too high, the government will mandate that some percentage of bank reserves have to go into U.S. treasuries. They just have to, like 20% of bank reserves. So, it might be like JP Morgan Chase, or like this is a realistic outcome within not just our lifetimes, but relatively soon, where they're going to start changing bank reserve requirements where, let's say, 20% of money held in banks has to go into government bonds, go into treasuries. And that way the government can fund itself off of everybody's savings because nobody else will loan them money. All I want to say is, I know I talk about government debt all the fucking time, and that's because it's really important. It will impact us, not in the mystical future, but in the next 10 years. It's going to be a problem. We're going to have to change things to figure out how to handle it. Interest expense is rising too fast. And so just want you to understand that things will change. Fiscal dominance is real. And it's going to be a problem. It's going to cause the financial structure to change. By the way, I'm on a different tangent. I was listening to Nassim Taleb, author of Black Swan, today. And he said,
where do we go?
Something that astute fans of H-Rock might notice.
The stock market. We just use that as a driver. Okay? Right. So because you're targeting one.
Dude, imagine he just rips the loudest glizzy. Imagine he just goes, anyway, I was thinking about finance because of my glizzy fingers. He lets out a moo. It would be sick if he was a Big A fan, but he certainly is bringing up some similar talking points if you listen out.
One variable. You're not targeting events because events are not well defined, but that variable is very well defined.
Well, I'm just saying that this is an event, a default that would trigger, an instantaneous drop. But it's harder to hedge against something like the slowing decline of the dollar.
Yeah, but okay, so that is but that would end up being reflected in stocks. The slow decline of the dollar. And effectively, the second risk. So the first one is the deficit. The second one is effectively that the dollar is losing its status as a reserve currency.
What proof do you have of that, though?
You can see the accumulation of gold in the reserves and the behavior of gold over the past 12 months. And it didn't start with Trump's policies, of course.
It didn't. What did it start with? What specifically? If you were to guess from my chat, what did it start with? Because I've mentioned it a couple times. What do you think it started with? Idle Mountain said it with Russia and the Ukraine war.
Of course, it started with Biden when he froze the accounts of people connected to Putin.
Right.
And of course, thinking that it'd be limited there, but people not connected to Putin, okay, decided to stay away from a euro and a dollar. And gold is effectively now the reserve currency.
So
transactions take place in dollars.
Interesting, bro. Interesting. Fucking said that exact word 1 year ago and invested on it and made 45% return. Word for word, bar for bar. By the way, gold, in case you don't know, just passed the euro as the second largest foreign exchange reserve among all countries. It's the dollar, then gold, then euros. Over 20% of global reserves are now fucking in gold. It's crazy. And I have fucking chatters last time I brought it up like, oh, it's just the normal fucking. No, dude, things are changing. The world is changing. So you're saying woke bankrupted us? I gotta be honest with you. I don't want to like it, but this bit where I explain something for like 5-10 minutes and then someone goes, so you're saying it's the woke at the end of it, is funny every time. It does make me laugh every time. I do like it. I hate that I'm liking it because it's gonna happen forever. It's unfortunate, but it is funny. It is unfortunately funny. It's Oh, did my videos arrive? You should react to the new Get to Work speedrun. We're recording it for the vlog. Oh. Maybe. Hold up. Possibly not today, but I'm on the case. I have to ask you a question actually before I do that though. Where the fuck is dude? Okay, I sent a request to a local gym because I'm looking for a new gym to work out in. Because I want to work out. I want to like get more fit. And so I like put a request for information on their website and they have nonstop been texting me to no response. And it's Brandon, question mark, Brandon, question mark, Brandon, question mark. Brandon, have you given up on your 6-month body transformation, question mark? Hey, what time today or tomorrow works for you, smiley face? Hey, I can schedule you a discovery call with our head coach so we can go over your goals and create the best plan, smiley face. I haven't said one word. It's a little. Oh, let me check my Slack on here. Did it send or did it not send? It did. Okay. Check this shit out, dude. So, how do I download this? Yeah. Download. I can just probably full screen it. So, do you guys remember? So you guys remember when I told you about Cosm Theaters? It was during a Marketing Monday. And it was basically this. And I wanted to invest in it and thought it was really cool. It's like the screen is super high res and you could watch sports there or whatever. So anyway, they decided to do a movie. They're like expanding out of just sports, but into movies. And the first movie they tried was The Matrix. So this is a special like Ultimate Matrix event. And people were showing up in like Matrix themed cosplay and trench coats, and they had like a phone booth in the lobby, and they had Matrix themed food and like red pill, blue pill drinks, and it was cool. It was cool. So I showed up. It's millennial bait for sure. It's absolutely millennial bait for money. But I went and I didn't know what to expect. I had not been to a Cosm Theater before, and I didn't know. And so I took some videos of it because I was surprised. Here's what it looked like. Can I get a fucking full screen? Okay, look at this. So it was the movie, but it made you feel like you were in the scene. So like while they're on the rooftop in the movie, like it looks like I'm on the edge of a rooftop. Like I can't look down, and it was actually pretty sick. So let me show you a couple more, because it was kind of like way cooler than I thought it would be. And it had something for every scene. It never got stale or like they were just phoning it in. Like this part. Like look at this.
The time
and the way it was seated looked really cool. I felt, it looked
it's
right.
time to make a choice, Mr. Anderson. Either you choose to be at your desk on time from this day forth, or you choose to find yourself another job.
That was Ari, not me. I wouldn't peace sign. Zoomer Brain Awe Theater. It wasn't distracting though. It just made you feel like more immersed. Like this part when, let me see. I can't even see what the fuck's. How did I film this? Oh, yeah, okay. This is the part where he was about to fall off the roof, and then the camera of the wall went down, so it felt like we were falling. And so it looked like I was on. It was cool, dude. It was fucking cool. As I'm just saying, it was cool. Imagine Inception here. You don't have to imagine. As a Zoomer, they're going to try to sell you Inception the same way they sold me The Matrix. In about 10 years, you're going to be in a 3D VR theater for Inception. Watching Interstellar or fucking Inception. Okay, it's 100%. Zoomers don't worry. Anyway, one more. This is the coolest one. This one was actually fucking sick. And so by the way, I was front row with my phone out during a movie. taking this video, but this is fucking cool, dude. Like it really felt fucking, it was like it felt like it stretched off in every direction. It was cool. So anyway, it was fucking cool as well. I'm not an investor. I wish I was, because it feels like it's a fun experience that like hits the right price point between actually going to a game and just watching it at home. And it was a cooler experience, and I don't know, it was cool. I wish I could invest. I would like to invest, but how much were tickets? I don't know. Ari bought them because she knows I like The Matrix. So it was like a fun little idea from her. But I know it's less than a game. I don't know if it's more than a movie, less than a game. Anyway, it's cool. Bro is so wife-pilled. Oh, also, not a small bonus is like they brought food to you. Like you could order food from their seat. The seats were comfy and you could order food. So it was like, I don't don't know. My whole point was that I actually went in thinking like, this is probably going to be lame. Like, I love The Matrix, so I'll go. But like, I thought it was just going to be the movie and then maybe some Subway Surfers on the side or whatever. But it was cool. It was fucking cool. They did a good job. Straight Morpheus. Take the wife pill and I'll show you how deep the rabbit hole really goes. F. No, we're back. We're fucking back, dude. Back like we never left. We're fucking back, baby. We're fucking back. Is the food overpriced? Yeah, it was. The food was overpriced and it was like, you know, normal theater-ish food. Probably the weakest part, but they were all Matrix themed. You know, it was like an oatmeal cookie it was a tasting menu tied to the midget panda for the 31 months. There's a delay. Cocking my arms. What do you mean a delay? How do you know there's a delay? How do you know there's a delay? I don't understand. Like, you don't know what I'm responding to. We can see the chat, but you're typing. You're not seeing your chat. I see. I figured it out. I caught up. Okay. Well, here's something that I want to talk about. Not that anymore. Who gives a shit? Let's see what else we can check out. What else can we check out? Bada bing, bada boom. Oh, I want to, so World War III, I do want to talk about it. I actually want to talk about it really badly, but I think I'd like one more day. Mostly to make sure that I talk about something different than what I'm talking about tomorrow on the podcast, because it has been expressed to me that it's a concern that sometimes I am using the same topic on a big A clip that goes out right before the podcast and undercuts the podcast. Which I don't want to do. So I will do my little prez tomorrow. That's fine. It's fine, dude. It's fine. There's so much to talk about. There's actually infinite things to talk about. There's so much happening in the world. I can do World War III tomorrow. By the way, every day there's some new news. So it's not like you guys need a fucking urgent breakdown of World War III or it's going to change your life in any way. Okay? Actually, what I wanted to watch was different war. There was that video by, I think it was the military show. Now, I don't know if this is a fucking excellent source, but they had a 3.7 million view video explaining why they think Russia is in a really bad spot. This is 9 days ago.
On February
in the Ukraine war. And I wanted to watch this. It's not that long, it's only 18 minutes long. And I wanted to watch it. There's these channels go depth every single day on the war, and I would like to get an update. So we'll see. I want to know.
February 24th, 2022, Russia invaded Ukraine. Confident, cocky, and certain of a 3-day victory. Kyiv will fall within 24 hours, they said. Russia's military was...
I remember this, and I will fully cop that I thought the same thing. My impression was that Russia would win this war quickly because they have overwhelming military superiority and economic spirit. I thought that. I did not expect it to go the way it has. And even now, I'm continually surprised by Ukraine's resilience and innovation, like the drone thing. I'm continually surprised. I constantly expect it to be over just because of a sheer numbers and economics game. And so, knowing how important economics is to war, it really stands to how, I guess, corrupt and unmotivated the Russian military is. Like, I can't imagine there is any deep passion for this war among the rank and file of Russia. And that plus corruption must be seriously stymieing the war effort.
The world's second most powerful, or so we were told. The war, just a formality. 3 years later, Russia holds just 20% of Ukraine, and it's paid for it with nearly 1 million casualties. Yeah, 1 million dead and wounded. More than the
Jesus
US suffered
Christ.
in 2 decades of the war on terror, compressed into just 3 years. And that's only the beginning of the disaster. Today on The Military Show, we're dismantling the illusion that Russia is winning this war. We'll break down the territory myths.
How many Americans died in Vietnam? Because it does have Vietnam parallels, but how many Americans died in... I think they lost far fewer. Yeah, dude, 58,000. Obviously a horrendous number, but losing 58,000 Americans in Vietnam, which is like a horrendous failure, like a real fucking black mark in American history. This is 1 million Russians over 3 years. 1 million. Think about that.
The manpower crisis, the shattered economy, the propaganda, and the growing whispers that the Russian Federation itself may not survive.
Died or casualties? That's a great point. I don't know. Obviously it's not dead if it's casualties. But you got to imagine that the number's higher than 50K. Over 400K dead? Yeah. And plus, a casualty. If you're seriously maimed, you're not coming back and able to contribute to the Russian economy. They have to pay out veterans benefits. If they do that at all, I don't know. But
the consequences of Putin's blunder. So if you still believe the narrative that Russia's got the upper hand, you'll want to watch this to the end. Let's start with the cold, brutal numbers. The Institute for the Study of Wars assessment from February 2022 states that Russia captured approximately 4,200 square kilometers of Ukrainian territory last year, most of which was in the Donetsk area. This area is only slightly larger than Rhode Island, the smallest US state by area.
Just to be clear, I want to respond to his first message. I still am of the opinion that Russia has the advantage, just because of the sheer crushing weight of a larger economy, oil exports, money, and people. I still have that opinion. But I am excited to open my eyes to alternative views from this video. Because, first of all, I don't want that to be the case. So I'm probably more amenable to other ideas. And secondly, because I was deeply surprised by that recent drone attack. That just showed, a level of innovation and fight out of Ukraine that I didn't expect at this stage of the war. So I don't know. I want to learn more.
Comparatively, 4,200 square kilometers is around 0.6% of Ukraine's total territory. And that's where it gets truly mind-boggling.
How does oil help you win a war? In every way possible. In every single way possible. The reason the entire world has cared about oil since World War I, and it's become like the main thing people fight for, it is the fucking artery of war. But on a very specific level, oil helps Russia win the war by supplying them with money. They sell oil on the international market and get tons of funds, one of their greatest sources of money. And they use the money to pay soldiers and buy weapons and et cetera, et cetera. But there's no way that oil doesn't help you win a war.
Forbes did some independent number crunching using statistics from April 2025, where Russia only took around 68 square miles of territory. If Ukraine maintains that level of defenses and Russia doesn't step up on the offensive, the war in Ukraine would take another 230 years. That's how long Russia would need to occupy the entire country, one of the surefire ways to win. The same analysis suggested that Russia would need around 100 million casualties to achieve this, against its total 2025 population of around 144 million. This is far from a strategy. It's a complete absence of one, requiring a multi-generational investment in war, which brings about other severe issues. But territory only tells part of the story. Let's talk about the human cost of Russian President Vladimir Putin's imperial delusions. According to the latest data from the Ukrainian Ministry of Defense, Russian forces have suffered approximately 975,000 casualties since February 2022. While we should approach any wartime statistics from
Ukraine that's a fair
with caution,
caveat.
even conservative Western estimates from the UK Ministry of Defence put Russian casualties well above 750,000 at the end of last year. To put this into perspective, Russia lost approximately 15,000 soldiers during its 10-year war in Afghanistan. In just 3 years in Ukraine.
It is crazy. Both Russia and America at different times got involved in a quagmire in Afghanistan. It is and in fact, the first Russian one roundabout leads to the, the later American one. The Americans spending money on the Mujahideen in the first one. Let me pause to blow my nose. Sorry. But it might work for us. Afghanistan has always been an impossible place to rule. I could do it. My first decree as king of Afghanistan would be free ice cream for everyone, no taxes, and everyone gets a Switch 2 on release. Games are discounted to the old Switch 1 price. Uh-oh, I just created a utopia in Afghanistan. $45 rent. Rizzlernomics. We need to start calling it Rizzlernomics when politicians just promise things. Whatever, yeah. We can't afford it, but... okay.
They've suffered casualties over 60 times higher. To put it bluntly, this is not a sustainable war effort. Russia's demographic crisis was already severe before the war, with a declining and aging population. The country's fertility rate was crippled by the economic crisis at the fall of the Soviet Union, reaching as low as 1.2 births per woman by the turn of the century. While the situation got slightly better, the country is still far below the replacement rate. As a result, there's a significant lack of working-age males younger than 30, simply because they were never born in the first place. And Russia is also conscripting from that same lacking demographic.
Right.
Now, factor in not just the direct military losses, but also the estimated 920,000 Russians who have fled the country to avoid conscription.
Yeah.
That's nearly 2 million working-aged men removed from Russia's economy and society in just 3 years beyond demographic shortages. In short, Russia is literally running out of people to throw into this meat grinder. But
dude, it's so funny how that all connects. We talked about on the podcast how China, which has an overpopulation of men as a result of the one-child policy decades ago, now has too many men trying to get married. Those men are flying to Russia because there's an overpopulation of women there. Chinese men are going to Russia to try and find brides because China and Russia have gotten closer economically in trade ties. And then that's just such a funny how it all connects. It's not cute. It's a bunch of Russian men dying in a pointless war from Putin or fleeing the country. And now, but it doesn't all work out. That's not what I'm saying. You guys are taking it to mean like, oh, you're right, it does all work. That's not what I'm saying. It's not an awe moment. It's just interesting. Oh, that's sweet.
To understand the extent of the tragedy that is likely going to befall Russia, let's roll back to the start of the invasion. Russian military planners were so confident they'd be celebrating in Kyiv within days that they packed parade uniforms. Combat plans shared with troops indicated they should prepare for light resistance followed by occupation duties. In fact, Russia's military logistics were structured around the assumption that Ukraine would collapse almost immediately. Over 3 years later, those assumptions look not just wrong, but delusional. Instead of a swift victory parade, Russia got bogged down in the longest conventional war in Europe since World War II. Their vaunted Air Force failed to establish air superiority. Their tank forces were decimated by portable anti-tank weapons and drones. Their elite units suffered catastrophic losses in the early phases, forcing Russia to resort to poorly trained conscripts, convicts, and foreign mercenaries. The Center for Strategic and International Studies, CSIS, published a damning report in September 2024 titled "The Russia-Ukraine War: A Study in Analytic Failure." The conclusion was that Russia's military planning represented perhaps the most significant intelligence failure of the 21st century. This sentiment was shared by the French...
I've met my Twitch chat, am I right? Up top, dude. Up top, dude. Come on. Come on. Significant intelligence failure. You guys spam Glizzy 24/7. It's not YT. Too far. Too far? Too far. You say, hey, baldy old fuck. Out of those glizzy hands. And then I say, intelligence failure? More like my Twitch chat. And that's too far? That's a year of kindness? Ad hominem? You crossed the line. Listen, hey, listen, A-Truck. It's all fun and games, but that's over the line. Okay?
Institute of International Relations, IFRI, which posited that Russia forewent its traditional logistical channels due to the erroneous belief that the war wouldn't last more than a few weeks. In short, Putin maintained the illusion that Russia was a great military force, but the military didn't have the planning or logistics to back that illusion up. Due to the secrecy behind the plans involved in the invasion.
Yeah, I mean, it has significantly damaged Russia's international reputation as like an incredibly fearsome military force. Not ruined it, but it significantly has, because prior to the war in Ukraine, the threat of Russia was really high. And it was used, I mean, often by military contractors to scare countries in Europe and America to spend more on weapons because of how scary Russia's army was. But like, if they're in a 3-year grindy, possibly losing war with Ukraine, then are they realistically a threat to the G7? To, you know what I'm saying? It's not it's less credible. Obviously nukes are always a threat. I just mean like as a conventional military force. It definitely diminishes them. You know, the idea was like there was this big US, China, Russia. They were all almost the big three, and it just doesn't feel like Russia's in that group anymore.
Many higher officers were caught unaware of the true extent of the invasion and failed to properly stock up on supplies before the war began in earnest. This led to severe supply shortages in the crucial first few months of the war.
Yeah, in a way, it's like almost like fuck the big three. It's just big G. And America, but in a way,
when Russia maintained the initiative. After the initial rebuttal at the Hostomel airport, which was essentially Russia's Hail Mary to conquer Ukraine with minimal losses, Russia failed to properly follow up.
I'm sorry. I shouldn't make a joke about it, but that's the point of the stream, right? We're making serious events light. Russia is the J. Cole of that. In that analogy, Russia would be the J. Cole. And Putin would be dropping Grippy right now.
With a significant lack of adaptability that has become a necessity in modern warfare. Soon enough, Ukraine took back most of the territory it had lost to the initial invasion, and the conflict evolved into one of attrition. Russian propaganda channels still peddled the idea that the war was a foregone conclusion, celebrating minor tactical gains of a few square miles. But in truth, Russia is losing a war to itself by running out of money to fund the war effort. On paper, Russia retains the 11th spot on the list of the world's largest economies.
You know what's fucked though is this video came out 9 days ago and it's already so out of date. In that, one of the things that is severely hurting Russia in this war is that oil prices have been astronomically low. And that's where so much of their funding comes from. But what's happening in the Middle East right now with Israel, Iran is driving up oil prices. They're spiking, which is going to dramatically increase the amount of money in Russia's coffers right when the opposite needs to happen. So that is probably not mentioned in this video, but it's worth being aware of how much that impacts the spending money of these like petrostates. Russia has more than oil, but like oil's a huge chunk.
Strip back the veneer and the situation is problematic at best. Western sanctions have decimated Russia's high-tech sectors, crippled its banking system, and isolated it from global markets. By the end of 2024, the ruble had lost 23% of its value against the US dollar, with the exchange rate between the two currencies fluctuating daily to create incomprehensible uncertainty of the country's real economic status. But the most devastating impact comes from Russia's pivot to a war economy. According to an analysis by Medusa, Russia now spends an estimated 40% of its governmental budget on defense, a level unsustainable for any modern economy. Worse yet, a third of it is hidden under...
Just to be clear, so I looked this up because I wanted to understand it when I was reading something recently. I was reading Price of Peace, and they were talking about different government budgets for war. I could even draw it. The example I was looking at was the UK. When the UK had its fucking colossal sun never sets empire, I can't draw it, but when the UK owned a country all over the fucking world, they were spending 10 to 12%, maybe 15 of their budget of their from their GDP on military. It wasn't even that high for world conquering. But during World War II, when it was life or death total war, it was 50%, which is like $1 in $2 of productivity were going to existential. So where Russia's at is basically almost Britain in World War II level, which is like, and by the way, the result of that, the fallout of that was catastrophic bankruptcy for the UK, where they lost almost all their colonies, lost their status as global reserve currency, lost their hegemony over banking. The debts of World War II crippled the UK for decades. And so what Russia's doing right now with a 40% of their economy going into the military is going to have catastrophic effects, not just now, but down the line.
Secret projects related to the military-industrial complex, indicating an unprecedented level of propaganda and paranoia surrounding the Kremlin. What makes the situation even more dire is that Russia's primary source of income, energy exports, faces long-term
government spending. It was government spending as a percent of GDP. So 10% of GDP was spent by the government on military. 50% during the war, just to be clear.
Decline. The European Union has reduced its dependence on Russian gas by over 30% since 2022.
Oh, there we go. See,
and oil sales to China and India are being negotiated at steep discounts. The dependence on oil and gas, which constitutes between 30 and 50% of the government's revenue, means that the country's already lacking workforce is increasingly turning to the one single profitable industry, the energy sector. This makes Russian manufacturing increasingly rely on imports, especially from China, as well as the entire country needing to import the workforce to meet its increasing demand.
The whole country is becoming like an oil pay pig for China. China makes all their tech and consumer goods and gives it to them, which they make cheaply, in exchange for oil. And, having only one major client is, first of all, bad because then you don't get the best deals. And, Russia's kind of like becoming a China satellite state,
With Russia losing both militarily and economically, it has few options beyond simply continuing as is.
And India. And it is to be said that because the demand for oil is so high around the world, you really can't. It's not easily sanctioned. And there's very clear evidence of India buying Russian oil and then just selling it back to Europe. Like India is just middlemaning, taking a fucking profitable cut when Europe sanctions it. So it's very difficult. But even that does do something because India gets it at a discount, so Russia doesn't get as much money as they would.
Accepting that the war is the new status quo, none of them is good. Option one, but not likely to happen, is a massive escalation. Some hardliners in the Kremlin have pushed for using pretty much everything Russia has to win the war, going so far as to propose the use of tactical nuclear weapons. This wouldn't be the first mention of nuclear warfare, as Putin himself has saber-rattled on the topic more than 24 times. But this scenario would ultimately backfire. While a limited nuclear deployment, such as destroying Kyiv or vital military sites, might create short-term tactical advantages, NATO would be basically hard-pressed to answer with nuclear weapons of their own. In response, Russia would need to use its supplies of weapons on NATO countries, plunging most of the world into nuclear winter. And even that escalation wouldn't solve...
Bro just glossed over that and moved on. Even that wouldn't solve the core problems. You mean what? Nuclear winter? The end of society? Everyone dead? Billions dead? And even then, there'd still be economic problems in Russia. Bro, there's no after. There's no after global thermonuclear war. Other than that, Mrs. Lincoln, how was the play?
Of Russia's core problems. Russia desperately needs both the land and the people in Ukraine. Bombing them into oblivion makes the region uninhabitable, and the country would lose the potential 40 million citizens, which would be used to prop up the failing demographics and workforce instead of resorting to immigration. The second option is withdrawing from Ukraine. Russia would likely only use this as a last resort, as it represents a devastating political defeat for Putin's regime, which has staked its legitimacy on this.
I hope you'll be streaming during it so we can all Aatrox 7. Would you guys Aatrox 7 with me during the apocalypse? If the nukes were falling, would you guys come into my chat and spam Aatrox 7s as we go down? I'll be here, dude. I probably have a brand deal that day. I'm not going to miss my Rocket Money ad. I have to go live. I'm going to tell my family in the bunker they have to wait. I've got to go live. I got to get the viewers.
This war. A withdrawal from Ukraine without achieving core war aims would likely trigger elite fragmentation within Russia and potentially regime collapse. Putin's government is a carefully built house of cards, hinging on the fact that Putin has been able to get what he wants for the past 2 decades. Annexing Crimea and fueling discourse within NATO have been key geopolitical wins for the Russian president.
Right.
If the situation turns around, it will send a clear signal that the country's top echelon of government is actually not nearly as powerful as it seems.
It has sent
that
that signal.
This explains why,
Either
despite
way,
catastrophic losses, Russia continues to pour resources into this conflict. The alternative, admitting defeat, is viewed as an existential threat to the current power structure. The third option is a peace deal, even in a limited form. While this might seem most rational after 3 years of basically trench warfare with drones, no side can reach an agreement on it. First, Ukraine has little incentive to negotiate.
Well, at least we have the world's greatest negotiator, Donald J. Trump, on the case. I'm sure he'll find a way to bring peace. He said he would do it day one, and I know it's been a little bit longer than that, but I'm sure he is getting it done. A peaceful dove, that one. 20 deals in 20 days. Boy, he signed up for a lot of deals, right? Because he's got to do, 90 deals, trade deals. He also has to solve the war in Ukraine. He also has to solve this new war between Israel and Iran. So he's stretched thin, our dear leader. But thankfully, he seems like a guy who's really got his head on his shoulders and doesn't overpromise and underdeliver. That's why he's got goat behavior.
Away territory after successfully defending its sovereignty.
Someone said chronic procrastinator. Oh my God, Trump does national deals the way I did homework in fucking college. Just fucking fuck off and play League of Legends until 1 hour before, then try to cram it together.
For 3 years. President Volodymyr Zelensky's peace proposals demand full territorial restoration, possibly including Crimea, as well as security guarantees from NATO. Even if Ukraine cedes territory, Zelensky has put NATO reassurance as one of his top priorities, even if he needs to step down as president in the process. Russia, meanwhile, cannot accept any agreement that doesn't legitimize its territorial conquests. And international geopolitics and relations are further complicating the matters. President Donald Trump's administration's erratic approach to Ukraine.
What if, and this is just a big what if Ukraine gets all their territory back, but Russia, or this body of water, what's this called? Right here. They make it the Gulf of Russia. The Sea of Azov, Gulf of Russia. Okay? They get naming rights. They get naming rights, so they get something big to fall back on. They can claim it's a Gulf of America type beat, but all territory gets back, the war ends, we have peace. Art of the deal? I'm sorry, day one, did I just solve it?
agreement that doesn't legitimize its territorial conquests. And international geopolitics and relations are further complicating the matters.
Oh, and Ukraine has to act really mad about it. Zelensky has to go, I wish it wasn't called the Gulf of Russia. You got us. He has to pretend like it's a big defeat. And that's why I oughta, you really got me on this one, Putin. I think that could
President Donald Trump's administration's erratic approach to Ukraine has undermined consistent diplomacy. In February 2025, Trump met with Zelensky directly to propose a peace plan that would have ceded significant Ukrainian territory to Russia, contradicting the stated position of his own State Department, caused a near complete breakdown in relations between the two countries.
This is one of the worst meetings I've ever seen in my life. This is one of the... I cringe when I think about it. This was so bad. You know what's funny is ever since then we've watched all of these meetings and Vance has never been invited back. I mean, he's always there, but he's no longer sitting close and he's always cut out of the frame. Like they actually, that is the one good benefit of this meeting. Because there was no deal signed, nothing good happened from it. It's bad for American influences. But at least we got Vance out of the fucking...
ultimately resulting in Ukraine requesting revisions of minerals deals and the US backing out of peace discussions between the warring parties.
Got Wazowski.
Even worse, Russia publicly stated multiple times at that it wants to find a peaceful solution, going so far as to accept probationary ceasefires. None of them worked, with the 30-hour Easter ceasefire resulting in Ukraine claiming Russia broke it nearly 3,000 times. So Russia is caught in a strategic trap of its own making, unable to win militarily, unwilling to accept defeat, and incapable of pursuing a diplomatic solution.
Good.
Let's zoom out and look at the bigger picture. What has Russia actually achieved through this catastrophic military adventure? Before the invasion, NATO was an alliance searching for purpose, with many questioning its relevance in the post-Cold War world. Trump himself criticized the alliance, as most members failed to meet the basic requirement of using 2% of their GDP on the military. Today, it's revitalized and expanded, with Finland and Sweden as new members. The 800-mile border between Finland and Russia practically doubled the NATO-Russia border, significantly curbing Russia's ability to actually defend itself in a theoretical conflict against the economically larger, demographically stronger, and militarily more modern alliance.
Right.
Specifically, the biggest changes came to countries that can hold large sway in the alliance. Germany, one of the world's largest economies, instituted new funding incentives for national defense. Poland, which was once a member of the Warsaw Pact, plans to create the largest standing
army. This is not the greatest thing in the world. The biggest consequences of Russia invading Ukraine are, first of all, millions dead, which is horrendous. And then a remilitarized Europe. That always ends well. What's the... I mean, you know, I guess it's good they're paying for more of their own national defense, but... that's not...
army in Europe. Sweden and Finland have pushed their military-industrial complexes to the limit, sending prototypes of vital equipment to Ukraine and partnering with US and UK contractors to deliver deadlier weapons. Diplomatically, Russia has transformed from a respected, if difficult, global power into a pariah state with limited international options.
I work in defense contracting, so I like it. Yeah, I just have a general sense that when defense contracting is doing well, the world is doing poorly. Your industry is not a good sign. Your stocks being up is a bad sign for humanity.
Russia's largest trading partner switched from the EU to China, a country that is even more dependent on resources and can significantly undermine Russian policies to get access to them. All of these issues come from a single problem that Russia failed to account for: the glaring gap between its projected military power and actual combat performance. Before February 2022, Russia...
Well, they also failed to account for the fact that Donald Trump, in a ghillie suit, crawled on his hands and knees into Germany to blow up the Nord Stream pipeline. And that really cut off a source of connection and funding. So I feel like, well, not president. He did this between his two terms.
Military was widely considered the world's second most formidable fighting force. Military analysts routinely cited its 1,320,000 active...
Biden got the one man for the job he knew could get it done. Imagine Biden and Trump as secret friends. Biden calls up Trump. Listen, I got a job for you, Donnie, but it's got to be deep undercover. They can't know we were. That's so peak, dude. Enemies to lovers arc. Holy fuck. And then Donald Trump in the explosion of Nord Stream, like Russian agents hunting him down. He's like calling in, Joe, I don't think I'm going to make it. I wanted to let you know you made America great again yourself. Holy shit. Holy shit. Why don't we live in that world? Why don't we live in that world, dude? Tell Melania I love her. You tell her yourself, Jack. That's fucking... That's actually fucking funny. That's pretty good. Hey, well, filmed in Vancouver. Yeah, brought it all together. That's fire.
Duty personnel, 2 million reservists, 6,000 tanks and 4,000 aircraft as evidence of overwhelming strength.
Stuff,
Annual military parades showcased supposedly cutting-edge equipment like the T-14 Armata tank, Su-57 stealth fighter, and hypersonic
What's
missiles.
he talking about?
The Global Firepower Index consistently ranked Russia second, only to the United States. Western military planners built entire defense strategies around...
Yeah, I talked about this on the podcast, but there's like strong evidence that military contractors in America, people like Northrop Grumman or Raytheon or whatever, were deliberately amplifying how strong the Russian threat was, how incredible their military was, how high-tech it was, how elite it was, in order to sell more weapons, both to America and to Western Europe. And it turns out that that was dramatically overplayed. That common consensus thought was not true.
Countering this perceived threat. And when the second largest military invaded a smaller neighbor, it turned out that none of the statistics really mattered. Instead of the feared Russian colossus, we saw elite paratroopers dropped into Hostomel Airport without proper support, resulting in a complete failure to establish the air tunnel necessary to win the invasion. 40-mile-long armored columns running out of fuel just miles from their own borders.
Embarrassing.
Tanks deployed without infantry support, making them easy prey for Ukrainian anti-tank teams. Russia resorting to sending human wave attacks, a tactic considered fit for World War I. Logistics trucks with commercial tires that failed in off-road conditions, aircraft unavailable to effectively suppress Ukrainian air defenses, museum pieces like the T-62, T-55, and possibly even the T-34, from all the way back during World War II, making their way to the front line.
Bring back the
most
classics.
damning was the so-called modern equipment itself. Those supposedly advanced T-90M tanks, many were found with what should have been reactive armor blocks filled with sand and cement instead of explosives. The feared attack helicopters and fighter jets, plagued by navigation systems so unreliable that pilots taped commercial GPS units to their dashboards. And what...
Dude, fucking taping a Garmin to your attack helicopter dashboard to go to war is crazy work. Getting the pop socket phone stick thing and going to fucking Google Maps. Fucking dropping the pin. That's fucking crazy.
What about those next-generation weapons that caused so much concern in Western defense circles? The T-14 Armata tanks made a brief appearance in 2023 before being withdrawn. They either failed miserably or were too expensive to get blown up by cheap drones. The Su-57 stealth fighters have conducted only limited strike missions from safe distances within Russian airspace, lobbing glide bombs, the one saving grace of Russian military tactics, which also harken back to its Cold War weapon stores. But how could Russia's military leadership so catastrophically misjudge both their own capabilities and Ukrainian resistance? The answer reveals something fundamental about Putin's Russia. Russian intelligence services believed that Ukrainian forces would immediately collapse and that most Ukrainians would welcome Russian troops as liberators. This wasn't just a military miscalculation.
I mean, America has made that miscalculation a couple times ourselves. I distinctly remember hearing on the news as a child how Iraq was going to welcome us as liberators, and Afghanistan. I heard it all the time because I was on military bases growing up. It was like, they're going to be so fucking stoked. And I believed that as a kid. I was like, oh, well, I guess they will. We're going to be winning hearts and minds.
It was a fundamental failure to understand reality, driven by the very propaganda machine Putin had created to maintain his grip on power. One of the fatal flaws of the authoritarian regime that Putin created in Russia is that it completely depends on Putin's image as a leader. Brookings maintained that this is only tenable so long as the autocrat stays in power, which can severely damage the longevity of the country as a whole.
Right.
Former Kremlin advisor Gleb Pavlovsky, now in exile, explained it more bluntly in his April 2022 interview. This is all Putin's own personal decision. Nobody, including myself, realized just how maniacally obsessed he must have been with Ukraine. We underestimated the extent of decay of the Russian government. Remember, this interview was only a month and a half into the invasion, and the same sentiment rings true 3 years later.
Yeah.
The Russian military itself became a victim of this distorted reality. Corruption was endemic, but hidden from official reports. Training exercises were choreographed performances rather than realistic preparations.
Yeah.
Equipment maintenance existed on paper, while actual hardware deteriorated in storage. This is underscored by a closer examination of Russia's military doctrine. As a holdover from Soviet times, Russia's perceived biggest risk was a NATO invasion. To that end, Russia created operations and strategies to defend the motherland rather than invade. Its concentrated command structure would help it shore up weaknesses in defenses, but it also opened itself up to rampant corruption and power reshuffling once Putin came into power. With Russia losing momentum, there's a possibility that Putin himself could be ousted from the Russian throne.
I mean, they had the little mini coup from Prigozhin. Dr. Battle gave us a brilliant report on that. But Prigozhin, for whatever reason, stood down right before he got to Moscow, and then of course was killed later. It's just crazy. He really he should have seen that coming. I just don't understand how he didn't see that coming.
After all, he would be quickly found solely responsible for the disaster, and power-hungry politicians in the Kremlin would need to save face by removing him. However, Brookings succinctly analyzed that
it was an accident. Dude, imagine a world where Putin's actually a really sweet guy and everyone he's enemies with just happens to die and he feels terrible about it. Maybe Putin is like really lonely because everyone he tries to reach out to or talk to ends up dying. And he's like, he feels like a rogue in X-Men where he's got the death touch. And that's why he's just sit alone at that big, long table. Maybe he, like, the last thing he told Prigozhin is like, be safe on that helicopter, man. Fly safe. And then when the helicopter's crashing, I bet he's like, he's going to think it was me, but it wasn't. They need to improve window safety? Yeah, he's probably like... He's on a big crusade to improve window safety in Russia because billionaires keep falling out of windows.
Russia's current political structure doesn't really have a viable candidate to succeed him, and that the entire regime might not survive a leadership change. This opens up a chance that Russia itself could collapse. This would happen in a few stages, but they would progress rather quickly or even coincide with one another. First, there's the economic breakdown. Russia's war economy is already showing severe strain, with defense spending crowding out essential services. As casualties mount and sanctions bite deeper, this becomes unsustainable. Critical infrastructure, already suffering from underinvestment, begins to fail more frequently. Second, political fragmentation.
Dude, I mean, 40% of your GDP is going to the military. Just think about that. It's almost 1 out of every 2 productive dollars going to something that explodes. Going to something that has no value. That just gets shot out of a gun or blows up or gets blown. Like, it's not... It has no economic benefit. So you're just burning your economy down. Like wars in general are so disastrous, so straining to the economy. Even small ones have bankrupted large nations. But a big one like this, the damage is like, especially if you don't win, it's just unbelievable longer term.
Regional governors, especially in resource-rich areas like the Far East, begin asserting greater autonomy from Moscow. Initially presented as an economic necessity, these moves gradually acquire political dimensions. Third, military disintegration. As the professional army is ground down in Ukraine, Russia increasingly relies on poorly trained conscripts and ethnic minorities from peripheral regions. Unit cohesion breaks down, desertion rates skyrocket.
The only thing I'll say about this, I think this video is actually well made. I didn't see anything that seemed like a glaring error. It seemed well sourced and made sense. Maybe that's my bias, but I was impressed by it. But I will say, like, this is also true of Ukraine, right? My understanding is they are also running out of people. It is difficult to get conscripts, even though people are more likely to want to do it in Ukraine because it's for national defense and there's a reason behind it. They're running out of, like, prime age people, and people have deserted. At least some. So it, I wouldn't say this is just a Russia problem, and that's why I still am uneasy about Ukraine's, status in the war, as impressed as I've been by their defense.
Military equipment fails without replacement parts. Finally, the central authority collapses. Whether through a palace coup, popular uprising, or simply the inability to project power to Russia's vast regions, the Moscow government loses effective control over significant portions of Russian territory. The consequences would be catastrophic, and not just for Russia, but for global security. The Federation would likely collapse into a series of states.
Dude, if Russia balkanizes with all those nukes, they have the most nukes of any country, more than America. That's not what we want. That's absolutely not what we want.
Resembling the breakup of Yugoslavia or the fall of the Soviet Union itself in the 1990s. The core of the country, Moscow and St. Petersburg, would likely attempt to relocate Russia's nuclear weapon reserves and proclaim itself the successor state, saber-rattling with the arsenal much like Putin does during the war. Scores of immigrants would try to enter the EU again, going after the successes seen by former Warsaw Pact members like Romania and Poland. China might swoop in and occupy swathes of resource-rich territory in Siberia for itself to fuel its bottomless industry. So the next time someone confidently tells you that Russia is winning in Ukraine...
What a fucking reversal of history that would be. If China goes from Russia's little bro to Russia's big bro to occupying fucking Eastern Russia, what an insane turnaround. Balkanization isn't a bad thing. Yeah, take a look at the Balkans. They're so great. You're right. It worked out incredible in the namesake.
You just need to go back to the beginning. After 3 years of what was supposed to be a war that lasted a few days, Russia controls just 20% of Ukraine, has suffered casualties approaching 1 million, has devastated its economy, destroyed its international...
You get Luka Doncic thanks to the Balkans. If balkanizing Russia gets the Lakers a center, I'll consider it. I'll consider it. If a fucking 6'10", 6'11", Russia guy, Slavic guy,
standing, reinvigorated its adversaries,
7-5?
and has no viable path
7-5?
to
Right.
actual victory. The truth is
I was
Russia
getting
isn't
greedy.
winning.
I was getting
It's
greedy.
trapped
I
in a
wasn't getting greedy
strategic
enough.
disaster entirely of its own making, with no good options and no clear exit. The longer this war continues, the more catastrophic the consequences will be for Russia itself.
You know what's interesting? Okay, so I thought this video was quite good, and I guess I would sum it up by saying I don't disagree with any of it, and I fully agree that consequences, no matter what, will be catastrophic for Russia. Even if somehow they won tomorrow, I think they are too deep for the unavoidable deep economic pain and backlash demographic problem. I agree with all that. However, it still doesn't prove to me, I guess I'm still skeptical that Ukraine is not also in an extremely precarious situation. But, I'm hopeful. I mean, the video at least gave me some hope. But, yeah, Russia losing doesn't mean Ukraine's winning, I guess is a good way to put it. That's a better way to put it. Chat's got some smart fucking takes today, shockingly. Hey, Hey, Big A, when, if ever, do you think the news cycle has been this turbulent, bouncing from the big, beautiful bill to immigration riots to Iran in the span of a week? It's a good point. I think the news cycle has always been fast, especially in the last decade. But my God, dude, you're right. This past week or so, the week I took off from streaming, it's been like the most insane back-to-back major news stories. I mean, you know, it's just funny to think of something like the world's richest man calling the president a pedophile was a 2-day story at best. That was a 2-day story. And that would have been so long when I was growing up. We moved through things so quickly. It is difficult to imagine that we can make sustained progress on things with this level of attention span on one subject. But the world's just happening fast, man. It's slowly all at once, man. It's all at once. We are in the all at once of decades of like creaking. And now the 2020s, man, are just all at once. Okay. Shockingly, I did want to talk about other things, but I think I'll do them tomorrow. Simply because I have this little presentation on Iran to give some background. But I think we'll watch Smallville. I think we're going to watch a Smallville. Yesterday, I don't know if you know, we watched an episode 1 of Smallville, and it was hilarious. It was the perfect show I was looking for. It was like early 2000s kitsch, funny. You don't need to pay too much attention. It's campy. Chad had a good time. I had a great time. So we watched Smallville episode 1. Today we're going to watch Smallville episode 2. Let me tell you when this aired. Smallville. You didn't fuck with X-Files? I actually fuck with it too much. I'm not kidding. I liked X-Files a lot, but the quality was too good. It wasn't a great streaming show. I found myself not cracking any jokes or talking about anything and just watching the plot. And it wasn't what I want. It wasn't slop enough. That's just an honest answer. And I know that it probably gets sloppier, but the 3 episodes we watched weren't slop. They were serious and good. And also it was 90s instead of 2000s. And so the pacing was slower, which is probably good for attention spans, but I'm not going to change society. People are less capable of holding it. So that's my feedback on. I'm not necessarily over with it because I really did like it. It's not like I didn't like it. I enjoyed all the episodes, but Smallville episode 1 was exactly what I wanted. I'll just be honest with you. Like it worked perfectly. Smallville. Yeah, Cuck Kent. So if you didn't watch episode 1, we're introduced to Clark Kent. We're going to give you a previously. Wait, let me find the date this episode aired, and let's also get snacks and drinks. But this episode aired when? October 23rd, 2001, right after the 9/11 attacks. The number 1 song was still Jennifer Lopez feat Ja Rule, I'm Real. But the number 1 movie was The Last Castle. Oh, dude, it made no money because of 9/11. Oh my God, it made no money. Nobody went to the theater because of 9/11. I forgot about that. Is the movie good? What is this? When soldiers break the law, they serve their time at the castle.
His career made him a legend.
3 stars.
They should be naming a base after the man, not sending him here.
One mistake
Disregard of direct verbal orders resulting in the death of 8 American soldiers.
cost him his freedom.
What do you expect from your time here at the castle?
Nothing. Do my time, go home.
That is the perfect answer.
Afternoon, sir. This thing that you're doing with your hand, you're grabbing your hair, what's that?
That was a salute.
So, no, I don't think so.
What are you doing? Saluting amongst prisoners is prohibited.
You get on Winter's bad side, you're done. I'm not fighting anyone or anything anymore.
Dad, you're a great man. You've done so much for this country.
Twice in the last year, there have been accidents where men have been hit in the head and killed.
I've been hearing some pretty disturbing things about what goes on in here.
But until you spend some time in the yard with those animals, you have no idea what happens in there.
The men don't want better food.
Is this supposed to be Leavenworth Prison? Because I did live next to this. Is this like slop? It's probably fine. I mean, it's good actors. Robert Redford, James Gandolfini. But it's Vancouver Prison. Let's see. What's with the reviews? Listen, I always watch a fucking 2000s movie. Oh, it's bad reviews. Yeah, the movie's slop. Apparently it's slop. Well, it's 50%. It's like mid. It's mid. It's just mid. Okay. Well, that's the movie. That's the time. 9/11 still massive on America's national consciousness. If 9/11 happened today, we'd forget about it by next week. But back then, I remember we talked